Ms. Pigibroni here. So this says Wednesday. We didn't have ELT on Wednesday, so you're probably doing this on Friday. If so, happy Friday. First thing we're going to do is solve systems of equations by substitution. So the first thing we have to do is I have to make sure one of these has a variable isolated. So I'm going to isolate the y by adding 8x to both sides. So this equation becomes y equals 8x minus 12. So y equals 8x minus 12. So I'm going to take this, which is the same thing as just writing y, and I'm going to put it into my other equation. So I'm going to write 4x plus 3 times 8x minus 12 equals negative 8. And then I'm going to distribute the 3, and I get 24x minus 36 equals negative 8. I'm going to combine my like terms, and I get 28x minus 36 equals negative 8. Then I'm going to add 36 to both sides, and I get 28x equals positive 28. So when I divide by 28 on both sides, I get x equals 1. Okay, so now I know x equals 1. I have to solve for y as well. When we solve the systems of equation, our answer is always an ordered pair. So I know my x, I need to know my y. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put in to this equation right here, negative 8, instead of x I'm going to put 1, plus y equals negative 12. Negative 8 plus y equals negative 12. Add 8 to both sides, y equals negative 4. So my ordered pair for number 1 is 1 comma negative 4. For number 2, we're still going to use substitution. Here it's not that bad because y is already by itself, y equals negative 2. I'm going to put that in there. So I'm going to rewrite 4x minus 2 times negative 2 equals 8. I get 4x plus 4 equals 8. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get 4x equals 2. Or sorry, 4x equals 4. Whoopsie. I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. X equals 1. So x equals 1. I'm going to put it back in here. I'm going to do 4 times 1 minus 2y equals 8 to solve for y. So I get 4 minus 2y equals 8. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, so I'm left with negative 2 equals 4. Divide by negative 2. Y equals negative 2. So I have x equals 1 and y equals negative 2. So my solution to this systems of equation is 1 comma negative 2. So that's solving by substitution. So there's 2 more for you to do here. There isn't a lot of space, so this isn't normally how I'd want to necessarily show this work all close and squeezed in. So just get out another paper from your ELT folder and use that for extra space. Now, solving by elimination is a little bit different. So with elimination, I want to either be able to get rid of the x's or get rid of the y's. And when I say get rid of, that means like here, if I have 10 positive x's, I want to somehow make this 10 negative x's so I can just make them 0 and I'm left in my y's. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply the whole equation by 2. And then I get negative 10x plus 6y equals negative 18. Once I do that, 10x minus 10x is 0. Negative 8y plus 6y is negative 2y equals 4 plus negative 18 would be negative 14. I divide on each side by negative 2, and I get y equals 7. Once I know my y, I'm going to have to plug it back in to one of my equations and solve for x. So I'm going to do this equation right here. So I'm going to write 10x minus 8 times 7 equals 4. So I get 10x minus 56 equals 4. Now I'm going to add 56 to both sides. 10x equals 60. Divide by 10. X equals 6. So the ordered pair for number 5 would be 6, 7. Number 6, I'm going to multiply this bottom equation by a negative 3. Because if I do that, I'm going to get positive 15x, which will make the negative 15x, we'll make a 0 with that. So I'm left with 15x. Negative 3 times negative y is plus 3y. Negative 3 times 17, 21, carry the 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 51. Okay, so this and this make 0. 9y plus 3y is 12y. And then negative 51 plus 27, I'm going to subtract. And I get negative 24. Divide on each side by 12. Y equals negative 2. Okay, so I got my y, but now I need to go back and find my x. So I start with one of my equations. I have 15x plus 9 times negative 2 equals 27. So that becomes 15x minus 18 equals 27. I'm going to add 18 on both sides. When I do that, I get 15x equals 45, and then x would equal 3. So my ordered pair for number 6 is 3, negative 2. Okay, so that's elimination, so there's 2 more for you to try. And then for graphing, there's 2 for you to do. So I'll do the first one. Actually, I'll do the second one with you. So x equals 7. X equals 7 here. And I know that if it's x equaling a number, remember HOY, VUX. Horizontal, 0, y. Vertical, undefined x. So I have an x, so it's going to be a vertical line. My second equation, I'm going to start at positive 9, and then it's going to be down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Oops, not right there. Okay, and the reason I went down 1 over 1 is because my slope is equal to negative 1 over 1. So they intersect right here, which is at 7, 2. The next thing for Wednesday is some sample constructed response questions. So this says, what is the rate of change of y with respect to x for this function? Well, I know it's a function because each x value has one y value. To find rate of change, first thing I need to know the rate of change is another word for slope. And to find slope, I can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Doesn't matter which one I use for my x1 and y1, or my x2 and y2, as long as I use them together. So, for example, if this is x1, this has to be y1 because this is the ordered pair. I couldn't do like -2 with -4 just because I wanted to. It doesn't work like that. So y2 is -7 minus a -10. Again, I'm subtracting because that's what it says in the equation, a -10. x2 is -1 minus a -2. Okay, so then I get -7 minus the -10 is +3 over -1 minus the -2 is a +1. The slope is equal to 3. The equation of a line that passes through a point. Whenever I have a point, I know I'm given an x and a y, and has a slope of -2. So basically, I know my equation is going to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. I know the slope, but I don't know my y-intercept or b. So I'm going to put in my slope and my x and y to solve for b. So y equals -3 equals, my slope is -2. My x is +2 plus b. So I get -3 equals -4 plus b. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. B equals 1. So then I know my b, and I know my m, which is another way of saying I know my y-intercept, I know my slope. I'm going to go ahead and write my equation. Y equals -2x plus 1. Okay, guys, and then for this last one, it says the tables below represent values that correspond to systems of equation. Write the systems of equation. So basically, I'm taking a table and I'm writing an equation for each table. I'll have 2 equations, which makes it a systems of equation. So the first thing I need to do is find the slope of both. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to call this equation 1. So I'm just going to do 3 minus 1 over 5 minus 2, which equals 3 over 3, which equals 1. So m equals 1 for the first equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with y equals mx plus b. I just found my slope. So now I'm going to pick an x and a y value. So I'm going to use this one. 1 equals 1 times 2 plus b. And I'm going to be able to find b and write my equation. So I get 1 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2. B equals 1 minus 2 is -1. So my first equation with my slope and y-intercept is y equals x minus 1. Okay, so for equation 2, I do the same thing. Equation 2, find my slope. So I have 13 minus 10 over 2 minus 1 equals 3 over 1, or just 3. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I need to find my y-intercept. So I'm going to say y equals mx plus b. I'm going to choose y equals 10 equals, my slope was 3. My x is 1 plus b. 10 equals 3 plus b. Subtract 3. b equals 7. So now for equation 2, it's y equals 3x plus 7. And this would be my system of equations. Okay, thank you so much for your hard work today. I'll be back soon with some more ELT goodness for you all.